So, wheelies are cool, but I'm not very good at them, so I made something easy to wheelie for cheap. This is the mcwheelie. The things I used to build this were a Razor E300, stinky brushed motors that I had lying around, a battery aged like fine cheddar, and even worse, Amazon speed controllers. The base of this build is a Razor E300 because it has a relatively sturdy steel frame. They can be found on Facebook Marketplace for really cheap, which is good. The battery I used for this project is a 48 volt 20 amp hour battery that can do 2000 watts peak. To make it fit, I took two stock trays, cut the bottom of one of them off, and then taped them together so that the battery can lie down flat and fit nicely in the tray like in the middle image. Since my new battery box is twice as tall as the old one, I cut off the old battery box mounts that went along the bottom of the battery box and took some of this thin metal strap that is super easy to bend and just put it underneath to reinforce the battery box from falling out. I made this bracket out of some scrap steel because whenever you stand in the tail for wheelies, it can get bent down pretty easily into the tire, which is not good. Now it's time for the controller. The controller I used is a 48 volt 1000 watt brushed motor controller off of Amazon. It's rated for 32 amps, so instead of putting out 1000 watts, it puts out more like 1500 watts at 48 volt. Now it's time for the motor. The stock motor was rated for 24 volt 200 watt, which blew up pretty fast. So I replaced it with a motor that could take more, which was rated for 36 volt 500 watt. This motor worked pretty well for a while.
Yeah, that motor's fried.
So both the stock motor and the motor I put in it ended up dying. So what do I do now? Put in an even bigger motor. This one's rated for 36 volt 1000 watt, which is roughly 28 amps, which was going great until the controller blew up. Oh my god, bruh. Anyway, I just bought a new controller and decided to mount it in a place where it would get better cooling because it melted. To get this motor mounted, which is significantly larger than a stock motor, well, longer really, I had to take a little piece of scrap angle iron here. It's bolted to the frame and the motor in this hole here. On the other side, there's just a piece of flat bar bolted into the frame and also the motor. So the motor can tilt like this. And then there's just sort of this bar here. I might make it adjustable later so I can remove the chain tensioner, but that's a later problem. Alright, here's the new controller. Hopefully it won't break this time. All the wires. Got battery, motor, throttle, and power lock, and that's all I need. Alright, I'm gonna plug the controller to the scooter now. Here's the battery over here, and a little display to show me if it's shorting or not. So there's this plug here, which goes into a switch on the side so that whenever I plug in the battery, it doesn't spark. is the battery. This is the motor. Here's the throttle and voltmeter display. All right. And the throttle's not doing anything. That's real cool. Alright, well, it's time to do some troubleshooting. I have this exact same throttle that's on the bars right now from a different project, so I'm going to plug that in and test it and see if it works, because maybe the throttle on here is broken. Alright, got the throttle plugged in. Turns on as normal. And now... it works. So... I put on these bigger tires so that there's more ground clearance, so that the motor and battery box have more ground clearance to not hit the ground. I also moved the motor controller out front, and this is so that it can get maybe a little more airflow or heat sink into the frame. We'll see. I also put this little duct tape splash guard because if I go over any water, I don't want it really getting in there. I mean, it still can, but it'll prevent it. In conclusion, the scooter is pretty fun to ride and was easy to put together, aside from a few hiccups. I named it the McWheelie because I like to give my projects names for me and my friends to more easily remember them by. I was planning to paint the rims yellow for a red and yellow color scheme, but I haven't gotten around to it yet. That's all for this video. Thanks for watching.